Welcome to the module on basics of interview techniques. Today we will be dealing with some more questions in concrete in highway engineering module. In the previous module also we have taken up three sets of questions on concrete, and in this module also again we will take up three more sets of questions which are coming to my mind as a typical or critical questions from the interview's point of view. So if you face some more difficulties in answering any of the questions, do post those questions in your comment box so that it can be taken up in the next upcoming modules and will be answered appropriately. What is an interview? An interview is essentially a structured conversation where one participant asks questions and the other provides the answer. So in common parlance, the word interview refers to a one-to-one conversation between an interviewer and an interviewee. The interviews usually takes place face-to-face or in person. In simple words, an interview is a conversation where somebody is trying to get information from another person about their knowledge on a particular subject. The person asking question is the interviewer and the person answering the questions is the interviewee. Researchers use an interview to ask people to find how they feel or what they know about something. Similarly, the industries conduct interviews to select their workforce in order to actually get the work done in the right manners, whether the competency of that particular person who is being selected is fit for that particular job or not. And there are other types like you can have the leaders being interviewed in order to comment or give their opinion on a particular issues. So today we will be talking about especially the corporate interviews where the corporate industries select people to check their competencies on a particular subject and offer them the right position in the industries. As you know that we are dealing with the possible questions in quality department related to highways and we have started with material part which covers soil, aggregate and bitumen, and then we have taken some activities like GSB and WMM in the previous modules, and also we have talked about the typical questions in concrete in our first module as concrete part 1. In this particular module in concrete part 2, we will take up some more questions which are unanswered till now and we will try to get some answers out of it. Like in set 1, the possible questions could be: what are the factors affecting the workability of the concrete? What is the temperature of water for curing of concrete? What is meant by ball cohesion test? And what are the methods for measuring of workabilities? To start with, what are the factors which affects the workability of concrete? The coarse aggregate, the rounded size will have an increased workability effect. Flaky and elongated aggregates results in a low workability. Fine sand reduces the workability. Coarse sand increases it by decreasing the specific area of the surface. So generally, mixtures with a higher water cement ratio require somewhat fine grading, and mixtures with a low water cement ratio requires coarser grading in the concrete. So the three factors or the four factors which mainly takes care of workability are the rounded size, the flaky and the elongated particles, the percentage of fine and the percentage of coarse in the concrete mixtures. What is the temperature for curing of concrete? Water temperature for curing shall be 27 plus minus 2. What is ball cohesion test? Ball cohesion test is nothing but you have to make a ball of the concrete as shown in the photograph and drop it from a height of 150 millimeters, and after dropping the concrete, if your ball looks like something in the top extreme right, you have poor cohesion. Below that, you have over cohesion. And as you move towards left, you can see a good cohesion mix. And on the top left corner, you have nil cohesion. So this is basically an indicative test which gives the indication at the field whether the concrete is good in cohesion, poor in cohesion, or it is over cohesive, or there is no cohesion at all. What are the methods for measuring workability? The workability can be measured using a slump test, a compaction factor test, or a BB consistency test. Coming to the second set of questions in concrete, some of the possible questions in quality department. They are: how do you maintain the water temperature for curing during the cold weather conditions? What curing arrangement can be done for structures during the cold weather conditions? Why compaction of concrete is required? What is the importance of compaction in concrete? Coming to the first question, that is, how do you maintain the water temperature for curing during cold weather conditions? If you see during the cold weather conditions, when the ambient temperature goes around 10 degrees, even around 10 degrees, the water which is available as storage for cubes is also at the ambient temperature level. So there is a need to change the water temperature to 27 plus minus 2 degrees centigrade in order to meet the required specifications. So what is being done is you need to have a circulation of hot water in the curing tank, which will help to maintain the temperature of the water for curing of concrete. And when you do this as a precautionary measure, some arrangements for auto cut also needs to be kept, so that whenever the water goes around 27 plus 2, then the motor should stop automatically, and you can always have a thermostat arrangement, and all safety precautions can be taken so that under the running conditions also one can operate the curing tank to take out the cubes and put the cubes in place. What curing arrangements can be done for structures during the cold weather conditions? During the cold weather conditions, the cubes which are there in the curing tank can be managed because you are able to change the temperature of the water which is there at the curing tank. But what about structures? Because in the atmospheric conditions, when the structures are built, you will not be able to cure them with a water which is having a temperature of 27 plus minus 2 degrees centigrade. So the best method is either you can go for a heat curing or a membrane curing in order to make sure that the curing of the structures is being done. Why compaction of concrete is required? Compaction of concrete is required to remove the entrapped air from the concrete to achieve the required density and strength. What is the importance of compaction in concrete? The compaction reduces the presence of voids inside the concrete. So presence of voids in the concrete reduces the strength of the concrete. So it is important to make a compaction effective, otherwise your concrete will be having some entrapped air within the concrete, which will drastically reduce the strength of the concrete. As you know, 1% entrapped air in the concrete, the strength will be reduced by 5 to 6%. And when there is a 10% voids left over in the concrete, the strength of concrete can be reduced by 50%. Second is, voids increases the permeability of the concrete. So the chances of increasing the permeability creates easy passage of moisture, oxygen, chlorides, and other aggressive chemicals into the concrete, which will have a detrimental effect as far as the durability of the concrete is concerned. So the compaction is important in view of the strength as well as the durability of the concrete. Coming to the set 3, the number of questions required or available for and to be answered are: What are the different types of compaction of concrete? How to ensure 100% compaction of concrete at site? What precautions one should take during compaction of concrete? And what are the different types of vibrations of concrete? What are the different types of compaction of concrete? The different types of compactions of concretes are tamping, vibration, spinning, rolling, self-weight, and impact. Impact is generally used for shotcrete. Spinning is used for impact manufacturing. Rolling is used for your DLC and earthen dams of concrete dams. Self-weight is basically used for the self-compacting concrete, where you have a congestion of reinforcement and where you want your concrete to be compacted with the self-weight. And tamping is basically done for removal of entrapped airs whenever there is a corner portion or a skew portion where it is difficult to reach the vibrations. Tamping is being used. How to ensure 100% compaction of concrete at site? The compaction of concrete is ensured to be 100% if you have a process in place. Like, you should know what direction of the needle one should be inserted in the concrete, what should be the duration of the vibrations, and what should be the spacing of the vibrations. If you are able to answer these three questions, like one is direction, how the vibration has to be done, what should be the duration of the vibrations, and what should be the spacing of the next vibrations, then possibly you will be able to make sure that your concrete which you are attending is being 100% compacted. Then also, rate of compaction and rate of placing should be equal. It should not so happen that the rate of placing is high and your rate of compaction is less. So what happens is, by the time you reach the location to compact, it starts setting. It starts reaching its initial setting time, and the concrete will not be in a position to compact anymore. Therefore, rate of compaction should be such that it should be equal to the rate of placing. What precautions one should take during compaction of concrete? Insert the needle vertically. That is the first precaution one should have. Removal of the needle vibrators shall be slow, leaving so that the hole left behind is automatically filled up with the collapse of the concrete from the sides. Do not push the concrete with the vibrating needle, and do not touch the shutters when the vibrator is on. Insert the next vibrations always at 1.5 times the R, where R is the radius of action or radius of gyration, which is different for different types of vibrators or the needle vibrators. It depends upon the diameter of the needle and is being specified by the manufacturer. And stop the vibrations when the pitch or the tone of the vibrator changes when your vibrator is actually inside the concrete. That indicates that the vibration of the concrete is complete. What are the different types of vibrations of concrete? The different types of vibrations are external vibrators and internal vibrators. External vibrators are generally used as the shutter vibrators, and internal vibrators are the needle vibrators. So some of the key points which one should keep in mind while attending the interview in order to make their interviews a success is, they have to be confident while appearing for an interview. They should have the intelligence in control. They should be vigilant enough to understand the questions and answer them accordingly. They have to be innovative, like if they're stuck in somewhere, they should know how they have to come out of that situation. And then the answers must be logical, so that while answering they should be feel confident and satisfied, and at the same time even the interviewer also has the same feeling. So to summarize this module, we talked about the definition of interviews. We talked about the possible questions in highway engineering related to concrete in QAQC department. More questions are being answered on concrete. And in the next module also, we will be taking some more questions on concrete. If possible, some questions on GSB and some questions on WMM. So if you have any questions which are unanswered and for which you want to know the answers, do post those questions in the comment box so that we will take up in the next module. Till then, thank you very much for watching this module. Do tune in for more updates.